There's an art to memes
There
that I
is a-
don't think people realize.
No.
They think they could just throw a meme on anything. And
No.
I'm like, no,
No.
that wasn't the right situation for that meme.
You have to be immersed in the culture.
Oh,
You have
yeah.
to know Twitter. You have to know Black Twitter. You need to know what is funny on social media.
My way, my style. It's the Archie effect. The Archie effect. My way, my style.
The wild thing about this life is no one truly prepares you for all the emotions you go through as a human. If you ask me, you haven't fully lived unless you hit a low. Maybe you feel isolated, overwhelmed, or even sad. Oh yes, and I'm no stranger to it, neither is my guest today, having shared some personal moments in her journey. She's a curvy girl living in a trendy world, a content creator, fashion blogger, advocate, and a beacon of confidence and resilience. Kristine is in the house!
Hello.
Wow, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited that you were here.
Yes.
You know, I had wanted you on the show. And then
An honor.
And then I didn't hear nothing. And so I saw you at an event. Shout out to Issa Rae for bringing us together. And I had to run up
Shout
on
out.
you.
Yes. And I was like, I hope this man does not think that I have ignored him.
No,
I
no.
truly did not see the email.
No.
But it's such an honor to be here. This is only my second podcast.
Come
so
on.
a little nervous, but
No.
you know, we're going to get into it.
We're just having
Yeah.
fun. But before we do any of that today, I am curious to know, on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you today?
Oh, 10.
Yes?
10, yes.
Come on, 10.
I woke up, you know, of my right mind, the activity of my limbs, you know, I'm great.
Shondo.
Yeah.
I felt that.
Absolutely.
Okay. But having been on the other side of that 10 of
yeah.
happiness in life sometimes, right? How do you hold on to this good
Yeah.
when going through that?
I think you have to realize that everything is temporary. You know, it's like pain is temporary, joy is temporary, unfortunately. And so I think if you just kind of go with the waves of life and realize that nothing truly lasts forever.
Yeah.
But you experience it when you do experience the highs when you feel them, and then the lows, just know that they will pass as well. I think that's just what I hold on to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's real. You know, over these last few years, there has been a accumulation of things that have led me to, I like to say, a depressive season. I don't want to say I'm depressed, you know?
Yes,
It's
yes.
just a blimp that
Yeah.
I'm going to get through.
Yeah.
you
But you can say you're depressed
I'm depressed in that season.
in that season.
Yes.
In that season.
And you know,
yeah.
it's like my grandmother had passed. My sister got sick, which was really hard for me.
Yeah.
Being let go when
Yeah.
that's the only source of revenue at the time, right? Heartbreak, heartache, heartbreak, heartache.
Yes.
You know, like over and over for me.
Yeah. That's another episode.
Listen, and I've learned that depression is nuance, you know, in whichever
Yeah.
grief process you're in, it can show up in a multitude of ways, but yet it is still such this human thing that we all experience.
Yeah.
No matter how big, no
Yeah.
matter how small, you know, it doesn't matter. We feel.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What has been your experience with this?
Well, I have shared this on social media. So I lost my dad just a little over a year from today. And so I lost him unexpectedly. So it shattered my world completely, as it would do. And so I feel like I was almost in this bubble before. Like I had experienced things, I had gone through things. Life had lifed.
Yeah.
But I was still in this sympathy bubble, let's call it, you know, where it's like I could sympathize with people suffering. I could understand where they're coming from, but I didn't truly feel that level of grief and sadness ever in my life before. And so when my dad passed, it's like the bubble burst immediately. And now I'm like on the ground floor, you know, feeling all the things and truly experiencing depression and heartbreak and sadness that I didn't really even know was humanly possible. And so I think that it just takes that one situation in your life. And granted, obviously mine was pretty profound,
Yeah.
but different things for different people, you
Right.
know, it just kind of takes the right circumstances at the right time in your life to completely alter how you look at your life, how you see your future. And it can really catch you by surprise. Yeah.
I think it was so interesting because you say you were able to have sympathy, but you know, having lived through that, you like unlocked a new level towards empathy.
Yeah.
Being able to like, I share in that, you know?
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Which I think is really, really powerful. But having lived through that, and it's still a process, I can't imagine for you, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
What is it teaching? What did it teach you about yourself?
Many things. I think first and foremost, you know, we talk about depression a lot more in mental health these days than we do when I was growing up. And I'm sure the conversations will continue in the future. And even with that, admittedly, I don't know that I really had a good grasp on what depression actually is. You know, like I knew it wasn't the stereotypical you're balled up in a corner, lights are off,
right.
You know, you can't move, which is some people's experience. We're
Rocking
not
back
going to take
and
away.
forth,
Yeah,
okay.
we're not going to take away from that. So I knew that wasn't the only characteristic, but I found myself having times of feeling like complete hopelessness. Just nothing matters anymore. You know, my career doesn't matter. Social media stats don't matter. Money doesn't matter. Living life, traveling, none of that matters anymore because what is it without my dad, you know?
Right.
And so I chalked it up as like, that's just the grief talking. But that was grief morphing into depression, really, if we're being honest about it. And I think the revelation for me was like, wow, it can really reach anybody. It can touch anybody. Like I'm not exempt from this. And I thought that, you know, my life was good. I was positive. I had my faith. I had my family, which I still do. So in a way, I thought that I was kind of exempt from this sector of society or this way of thinking, this way of feeling. And I just had to come to realize that, no, it can touch anybody at any point in your life. And it really just takes that one situation to kind of turn things for you.
Yeah. That is hard.
Yeah.
What would you classify as those small steps that you were able to take eventually getting to peace, some light?
Yeah, it's a process.
Yeah.
And I still feel like moments of darkness, of course, because a huge part of me, a huge part of my life, all that I've known is now gone. So what do I do with those feelings? You feel untethered. There's nothing grounding you anymore. And I still have my mother, of course, but it's something about losing a parent that just completely pulls the rug up under you. But what I've learned, and like I said, I'm only a year in, so I'm not a veteran in this grief space. But what I've learned is that there is something pretty powerful about darkness. And I think it forces you to act. You either can stay where you are and kind of be in the darkness, get comfortable with the darkness, which that was a season of my life. I was very comfortable with the darkness. You know, it was comfy. But I think that at a certain point, I said, I have to figure out a way out of this.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like, if you're thinking of yourself in a dark room, you're feeling around, you're trying to find, is there a light switch somewhere? Is there a window? Is there a door? Is there something that I can touch that can just start to let some light in?
Yeah.
And so I think you, number one, realize that you're stronger than you are, because I never thought that I would be able to smile and laugh and have good moments knowing that this has happened to me. And so I think you rely on different parts of yourself that you never even knew you had. So it is powerful in that way. I'm a completely different person than I was prior to, for better or for worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think it just allows you to see things differently. Yeah. I think that's the best way to describe it.
You mentioned, you know, the joy, right? Like you're this powerhouse advocate for self-confidence and joy, and you just spreading light on the internet.
Thank
You know what I mean?
I appreciate it.
Of course.
Yeah.
But in that being in that state and experiencing depression, how has that shaped and challenged your sense of self-worth today?
Yeah, that's a great question, and one that I'm still trying to sort through and figure out, if I'm completely honest, because I think that my social media presence has allowed me to be more genuine in how I show up. I think that I was always pretty authentic in how I show up, but I'm a pretty private person in general. And there were just some things that I said I can't really be private about, and I need to express how I'm feeling in this moment, how I don't really care about my outfits and I don't really care about how I look right now. I just am in this place and I want to be able to say what I'm going through and not feel like I always have to be on. I always have to present myself in a certain way, which is something I struggle with. And so I think being able to show up in that way has allowed other people to open up as well. I've talked about my struggles with grief online, and it's so interesting because it's like once you open up, everybody just comes out of their hiding places and just, I'm going through this too, and I'm going through that too. And it was amazing to see.
That's what I was going to say. Like, what does that feel like to you? Like, once you're like, I don't really care to let y'all in on all this personal stuff going on. But then when you do, and you're like, wait a minute, now I don't feel so isolated. And my community that I have cultivated is now, growing with me in this space outside of fashion and all these things. Like, what does that feel like?
It feels humanizing.
Yeah.
It feels like a true community and not just one that's just based in a niche. As content creators, we think, okay, we have to just drill down onto what people know us for or what we want to present ourselves as. And I feel like this has brought a human element to my page to where I'm not really caring about how it sounds when it comes out. However it comes out, it comes out. And I think people can identify that because grief, depression, mental health is all a very human experience. And if you haven't experienced grief yet, praise God.
It's going to find
But if you live long enough, you will.
Yeah, God willing.
God willing, you will experience grief, which is such a
that's wild
crazy
to say.
Phrase, but that's true. It's very true. The longer you live, the more you will see people pass on.
That's how he designed it.
Yeah.
That is how God designed us to live.
Yes.
It's to feel all those things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so because it's not really shared on platforms a lot, you kind of have to seek after that. It feels so isolating. Grief shows up in very weird ways. I feel like people have an idea of what it can be or what it is, and it's ugly sometimes.
She's not a pretty girl.
It's not the cute cry. It's me going down the grocery store aisle, having a memory of my dad and breaking down in the middle of the aisle. It's that type of thing. And I think if people just normalized being able to have those sort of expressions in a public way, it's uncomfortable, but we're all going through things. We all have some secret battles. So I think that really helps in normalizing that your feelings are okay, because otherwise I really felt like the only time that I could truly grieve was in private. Yeah. I didn't want to upset my family. I didn't want to upset my husband. Certainly didn't want to cry in front of strangers. So it's like you reserve those deep, hurtful moments for when you're by yourself, and that's intolerable. It's it's no place to be. Like, we are made to be in community with one another, and so it was just getting to the point where I couldn't take it, and I've shared how I reached out for help and how I'm in a grief support group and how that's been helping me. And I think that you don't have to do anything as formal as getting into a group, but I think you do need to have a community where you can say, I'm not having a good day today. Or I just want to talk about my person today,
Yeah.
you know, and it'd
Yeah.
be okay. I think you need to let those out. Keeping it in is just going to manifest in loneliness. Yeah.
That is so beautiful. Like, no, for real. And I think that it's also even more important for Black people to also be able to take up space in that.
Yeah.
You know, to
Yeah.
get out your feelings, to, you know, be vocal about it, because keeping it in here in your chest is only hurting and creating stress, which ultimately kills you. So I think that that's dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that's how it's designed to be. You're
Yeah.
not designed to suffer in silence at all.
Yeah.
Especially something to the magnitude of death of a parent, you know. That's just, it's already difficult to deal with. You need people that can lift you up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What makes you laugh? Like, well, not what makes you laugh. What makes you like the Black kind of laugh, where you run away and then come back? Like, what's that one for you?
Let's see. Okay. Inside jokes and like movie quotes
Oh.
is if it's something where it's a situation and me and some other person say the same movie line at the same time because of whatever the situation was, it's hysterical to me. My sister and I, my mom jokes about this all the time. She says, you guys have your own language, because we literally talk in movie quotes and things we grew up watching. Let's see. Memes are, when used the right way.
They're right.
Some people, there's an art to memes
There
that I
is
don't think people realize.
No.
They think they could just throw a meme on anything.
No.
And I'm like, no,
No.
that wasn't the right situation for that meme.
You have to be immersed in the culture.
Oh,
You have to
yeah.
know Twitter. You have to know Black Twitter. You need to know what is funny on social media. Like, you need to know when to say.
And it's like the nuance.
Yeah.
People don't understand the nuance of memes, but the people that get it, they get it, and I will roll on the floor. What else?
Wait, favorite movie? You talking about y'all reciting quotes from movie? What's all-time favorite movie?
I don't have a favorte anything. My husband
Okay.
jokes about this all the time because I'm so indecisive. I don't have a favorite. He's like, "What's your favorite color?" When we were dating, "What's your favorite color?" I don't know. "What's your favorite food?" I don't know. It depends on the day. "What's your favorite flower?"
Well, wait,
it depends on the situation.
Are you the wife though that's like, what are you going to eat? I don't know. And then he finds something and you're like, I don't want that.
Guilty? That may or may not be about me.
Right. Right. He's like,
Yeah, he's like, I don't know what to do with you. I'm like,
Yeah.
it depends on the situation. I don't think that this is a very hard concept to grasp. It depends on the situation. If you're asking me my favorite flower, is it just to receive? Is it for my home? Is it, you know, there's it means different things.
Yeah. Really analytical about it, about your flowers.
You know.
Okay. All right. Wow.
God bless my
Yes.
husband.
Shout out to him. I love that guy. Every time I see him. What role, I'm curious to know what role, as you are this creative person thriving in this social landscape. Also, can I say, because I said it in my opening for you, but you are not new to this.
Oh, no.
You like OG blogger.
Yeah. I started when there was no money.
Yeah.
And we were called bloggers.
Like
There
Instagram was
no
rolling out
influencer.
the day of.
Yeah.
Like,
That sounds so bad, but yes. I started when I started actually with a Tumblr. So that was before websites they were still a thing, but I didn't have one yet. Because I was still trying to test if this was something I wanted to do.
Did you have a blog spot?
I had a blog spot.
Did you?
I did. I
Yeah.
went through all the stages: Tumblr, Blogspot, then got my own domain and grew up, you know. And then brands started to come into play, and I think I was just at the right place at the right time, honestly. I had started my platform so naively. You know, I just wanted to be a voice for women that look like me, women that had curves, women that were plus size but still love fashion and still wanted to look good and still wanted to show up in this world in a way that was like, I'm here and not trying to cower in the corner.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to insert myself into the conversation, and I think just being consistent online just led me to the career that I have today. But yeah, it's been a wild journey for sure.
So even in that, what I'm curious to know, what role has creativity and this fashion voice that you have created and nurtured? How does that help you navigate tough emotions just on a day to day, like even back from day one?
Yeah. Like I said, I've always been a pretty positive person, and I think that shows through on my social media. I just don't let things get to me.
Teach me.
To a certain extent. I'm not bulletproof, so don't try it, okay?
Right.
Because I can fold, especially now. Especially now in my life, I'm way more sensitive than I've ever been. I cry more. My prayers look different. Everything looks different about my life. So I'm not bulletproof, but I think that I just realized that anybody who's trying to tear you down on social media, or anybody that's trying to say something about you, it's truly not about you.
Yeah.
It's really not. And I had some experiences when I was in high school, especially because I was always kind of the bigger girl. I was always the one that like couldn't shop where my friends shopped. And so I think though those experiences at the time were like horrifying. I used to try to go into a dressing room and act like something fit, and I just didn't like it.
That's not funny. But you can laugh at it now.
I'm laughing now.
Okay.
Before it was an experience, But I think that those situations really shaped me and made me realize that it's okay to stand out. And I talked about this on social media as well. Like, I didn't even realize that I was kind of using this as a defense mechanism. I use clothes to defend my size, if that's makes sense. So what I mean by that is, if I was going to be the biggest girl in the room, then I was going to be the best dressed in the room.
Wow. Yeah, you saying, right. Me, okay? I look good.
Because the least, you can say that I'm big, that's obvious. You can say that I'm plus size, that's obvious. But what you're not going to say is that my clothes don't look good. And I think that helped me so much, more than I thought.
You look good.
Thank you.
No, I mean, in my research, I was back in your Tumblr. And the OG photos, I was like, hair was still done, gloss was still on.
And that's what I was kind of hinting at, that I really have been working through trying to, I feel like I have to show up in a kind of perfect way sometimes. And I am working through that. And I think that having the situation with my father passing has really helped me to show up a little bit more authentically.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a problem. It's just something that I've realized about myself. But yeah, it stems from high school, and just there was a turn that happened where I just said, I'm just going to try the other side of things. I'm not going to be this insecure person. I'm going to show up. I'm going to be noticed. And it really has served my life tremendously. Insecurities really do nothing for you.
Yeah, they're really limiting.
Yeah, absolutely.
They really are. And it's very noticeable.
Yeah.
So thank you for
Thank you.
showing up as yourself.
I think that's just what I try to do.
Yeah.
It's just show up as myself. But yeah, a little bit of a cute outfit doesn't help.
You know what I'm saying? Hey friend, I hope you're enjoying this episode, but I want you to discover a workplace where connection and creativity thrive. Soho Works is a global community for entrepreneurs, creators, and innovators who value collaboration as much as productivity. With beautifully designed spaces, intentional amenities, and access to an inspiring network of like-minded individuals, Soho Works is your home for ideas and growth, created for Soho House members and those who share our vision. This is where work meets community. Join us and elevate the way you work. Learn more at sohohouse.com. How do you give yourself grace on those days, though, when confidence is out of reach? For somebody listening who maybe has had a similar experience to your recent one with your father, or even something maybe as minute as like this dress don't fit no more, or not even minute, but like how do you give yourself grace in those days?
Yeah, I realized that people are dealing with some real issues, and some things stem from childhood, some things that someone said to them that always stuck with them. And it's really hard to see yourself outside of that landscape. I was fortunate and blessed to grow up in a family that was so supportive of me in anything that I did, no matter what size I was. I talked about this, I think in the other podcast that I was on.
Yeah.
About how my mom used to say when I was growing up, you have such big, pretty legs. And I don't think she was saying that to build my confidence. I truly think that she thought I had big, pretty legs.
Yeah.
But it shaped the way that I thought about myself.
Yep.
And having big and pretty in the same sentence from your upbringing, from somebody who is literally grooming you and raising you, was monumental for me. So I realized that not everybody has that, and some things just stick with you. But I always say, like, just try the other side of things. Just try it, fake it.
Listen.
Just fake it one day.
Yo.
Fake being confident, fake putting on an outfit that you would never put on because you don't feel good in it. Just see what reactions you get. I bet you'll be surprised.
Yep.
I bet you will be surprised how people respond to you and how people respond to your energy. And I think it's addicting. It's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy, Once you start to think about yourself in a different way, even if it doesn't feel right, even if it doesn't feel authentic to you at the time, your thoughts truly are powerful.
They are.
And they can transform how you feel about yourself and how you present yourself to other people. And I think just having enough practice in thinking about yourself in a different way can really do wonders on your mental health. Yeah.
It does manifest when you start to think it, or, treat it like it's a costume, right? It become reality.
Right.
Yeah.
It's your alter ego. It's your persona. But I bet one day it will switch and you won't even realize the flip, that it has become who you are.
Yeah.
And so just try it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kristine, I have an uncomfortable question of the day.
Oh, okay.
All right. So let's just
Gotten
say,
to that point.
what do you say to your homegirl?
Uh-huh.
As somebody whose edges be laid, you,
I try.
who her edges are laid. But when she turns around, she got this crunchy BB going down the back.
Oh.
So this is laid. This is not.
It's my homegirl though, right?
It is.
Oh, girl, you look a mess in the back. I wouldn't say that to a stranger.
Okay. So if it's a stranger, you're just gonna keep letting them walk.
No, I'm not gonna let them walk. I probably would come up to them and, be like, oh my gosh, your hair is so pretty. Let me see the back, and then just rub my fingers through the back. Oh wow, what type of hair is this?
Let me see the bag. Not going through it, doing a research project.
I mean, I will try to be very discreet about it, but I will try to help you out. But if it's my girl, and I don't want you to let me walk out.
Yeah, don't do that to me.
Yeah.
I feel you. All
Because
right.
it's coming from love. But if it's a stranger, you don't know their intentions. So I would be gentle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Heard you. Thank you. Thank you so much. As people who are immersed in the culture, who impact culture in our own ways, I'm curious to know your thoughts on how culture impacts depression.
I think that there's a lot of things in our culture that we don't speak about. And I think depression, mental health, grief is one of them, and I come from a faith background. My father was a very religious man. I grew up going to church. I'm a Christian myself. And so there is a lot of kind of pray the pain away.
Yes.
And just joy comes in the morning. And
Okay.
I'm
like
I'm
the dew
still
in the morning.
Come on,
Okay.
vocals. Gently rest upon my heart, okay? So yeah, there's a lot of that. Like you will get through, but I'm still in it. I'm still in the trenches. I still am in the valleys, and so I think being able to talk about those things openly and not feel like you're being any sort of way. And I think for women it's a little bit easier. I think for men it's a much harder time. You
Sure.
feel like you have to show up in a certain way that you can't really show weakness, you can't cry. So I can't really speak to that experience. But even for me as a woman, I feel like there were just things that weren't talked about. You know, God will provide, and I know that he will, and he has shown up for me in ways that were unexpected. But I still want to give validity to the moments where you don't feel him. You know, you don't. I've had my prayer, I think I mentioned this before, my prayer life has changed tremendously, you know.
In what way? Like, what does that mean?
I mean, the pleasantries are out the window, you know. It used to be, you know,
Like, hey,
dear Father God,
yeah.
baby
God.
in a manger, God of all the, you know, that sort of thing. And
Okay, come on, Lifetime movie.
I still pray those prayers,
Yes.
but there's something about when you're really in the trenches, you go to God so authentically, and you just say, you don't care how it comes out. I don't like you today.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm confused.
Very mad.
I'm very upset with you. This is not how I saw my life going.
Yeah.
Why did you take this person from me at this time? You know, I had what plans I had, you know, all these things. So I think I just open up more, and I just talk from my heart, and I don't really care how it comes out. And I think that he's responded to me in that way. You know, I think that he's like, now we can have a conversation, you know, now that you've laid your heart on the table, let's talk about it, you know. And I think it's just a different discovery process of who he is in my life. Yeah.
I was going to ask you, how has the Spirit helped you find your voice? But is it through this process you're speaking about right now?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that's helped in just being real, you know. And when it's funny because it's like when you haven't gone through things, or you haven't gone through deep suffering, I wouldn't say gone through things, it's like you speak a different language. I feel like I speak differently now. I think differently now. And that's why I can identify with people that are suffering on a much deeper level. It's much more intimate, because you are a changed person. And I don't think that you can bring how you were before and how you dealt with things before and how you spoke about things before into your new life. I have a new life. January 27, 2024, I had a new life. Yeah. You know, the old me is no longer here, because such a huge part of my life is no longer here. So I think just recognizing that it's okay to change. It's okay to not feel like you know where you're going, but just keep moving. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I had this experience. This experience once. I was like, I felt so alone, so isolated. I studied abroad in London at Regent's University when I was in undergrad, and I'm a very spiritual person. Like, you know, I love God. I'm very faithful, very Christian. Yeah. Very like, I like a good shout. You know, I like a speaking in tongue. Shout. You know what I mean? And so I was over there by myself, and this was like the first time I was able to see outside of my networking community, really. You know what I'm saying? Like, I went to school. I'm from Kansas City, Missouri. Went to school in St. Louis. That's a 3-hour drive. I was over in London, and I felt so alone, and I was so mad. And I literally was like, yo, God, I need you to show up right now, because I'm very emotional, and I have anxiety, and I be over it. And so I was like, I need you to show up. And it was the craziest thing. And I attribute this to being like that first moment. He showed up in plenty of ways to where I've had this encounter as well. And all of a sudden, I was on this campus in Regis University, very prestigious, white people. Campus, white people. I start hearing tambourines. No, like in my dorm, right? In my dorm. And so I kid you not, I followed the sound.
You followed the sound.
I followed the sound. And I was still on campus. Yeah. And I like went to this room. Yeah. And it was like all these black people having church. I don't know if they do that on the regular, but like it was just so affirmative. Yeah. For him to show up in that way. And so
That's such a beautiful moment.
It's, you know, and it was nothing, you know, like nothing traumatic happened, but I just I needed him.
Yeah.
And there he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there has been moments. Thank you for sharing that story with me, first of all. There has been moments in this journey where I felt the same way, where I felt like I need you and I'm not feeling you. And he showed up in a way that I didn't expect him to show up, you know? And even some things I didn't realize at the time. Like when I started, a perfect example is I signed up for the grief support group. And it was a huge wait list, months long. I signed up for it almost immediately after my father passed because it was a recommendation from a friend. And the wait list was months long. My father's birthday is August 26th.
Okay.
I got an email that the first day of our group counseling will be August 26th. Out of all days.
Right.
Out of all days.
Right.
And I think at the time I recognized it, but I didn't recognize it as much as I do now. That was him hearing me and him hearing my heart and saying, I need you, and I'm here with you. I'm here with you. And so I think that was just a moment for you.
Yeah. He gonna show up.
Yeah, he will.
And he gonna be right on time.
Literally.
You be like, I
Not
wanted
on
you
your time.
No, I'm never on your time.
Lord.
Whoa. Okay. What are you finding enjoyment in these days?
Ooh, I love family time.
Okay.
I'm super close with my family.
Yeah.
I've mentioned my sister. She's my best friend. We're only a year and 3 months apart, so my mom is like, y'all are twins practically. So I love family time. Date nights with my husband. We have date night every Friday.
Come on. Oh, look at y'all. Y'all going out tonight.
Yes, we are. That we are. Reservations are made.
Okay.
So that's fun. And just like, I really enjoy peaceful moments. Just home. Oh, I love traveling too. You know,
You do love to travel.
Yeah, I love to get out of town.
You look at her story, the feet gonna be up in front of a pool, in front of a beach.
And it's great because my husband is the same way. He's very like spontaneous. He loves to be away. If he could be a nomad, he would.
Yeah.
But so we'll just, you know, kind of connect on that and just say we're just gonna
Let's
go
go.
somewhere. And thankfully we have the privilege to be able to do that. But yeah, traveling, just chilling at home, you know, like never underestimate a peaceful home. You know,
Your sacred space.
Yeah, just watching your favorite show. That's luxury.
My feet just rubbing together on that couch. Ooh.
Yes. I was just talking about this to a friend because I was like, I rub my feet when I'm really comfortable.
I'm in it.
Ooh.
Don't bother me.
That's the last stage. Just like, you know, lighting a candle is the last stage for cleaning. The last stage when you're comfortable, you have your snacks, your blanket, you rub your feet together, and it just makes everything great.
I'm gonna need that tonight. Enjoy your date. I'm gonna be on that couch with them feet rubbing. Wow. Okay.
Yes.
Well, Kristine, you know what time it is?
What time is it?
It's time to play a game.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I love
All
games.
right. So it's time to play Perfect Pitch.
Okay, I'm a little nervous.
Okay. So if you could collaborate with anyone on a project, who would it be, and what would the project be on?
Oh my goodness. Anyone?
Yes, anybody.
Anyone in life.
Anybody in life.
You would ask the most indecisive person this question. Okay. I would collaborate with Beyonce.
Okay,
That's
Beyonce.
so cliche.
Yes.
But I mean, I'm a member of the Beehive.
Yes, of course.
And we would do a duet.
Okay.
And I don't care how I sound because
Perfect.
I'm pitch perfect.
Well, now that we know that information, I need you to look into your camera.
Yes.
You have 30 seconds to give Beyonce this pitch to do this duet. Are you ready? In 3,
I'm ready.
2, 1.
Beyonce, girl, I have loved you since I was a little girl. Since well before Dangerously in Love. We're talking bills. No, okay? So we are going to do this duet together. You are going to make me sound amazing because you're all about female empowerment. That's what I'm about. That's what I stand for. And I know that you have the power to adjust my vocals.
All right.
It's not going to come out right. I don't know if that was a good pitch or not, but that was all I had in the moment.
Call Beyonce right now. Tag her in the comments.
She's not going to respond.
She might. You gotta have a little hope. Come on, I thought we said we was open. We're joyful. We are positive. What mantra or affirmation keeps you grounded during tough times?
This too shall pass. I think that it's speaking to what I was talking about earlier. I feel like everything is temporary, and I've just become much more aware of the fact that exact fact that everything is temporary. So I think that when you're feeling down, when you're feeling sad, when you're feeling heartbreak, when you're lost because the job you thought was yours and that you were going to have forever and that was going to ascend your career is no longer working out, you move to a new city, you feel alone. All of those moments will pass because we can now look back on those times and realize that that was just a stepping stone to where we are now. So I think just putting it into perspective and realizing that your life is so much more than this one time, that your story is still building, and who knows what's going to happen in the future to where you can look back and say, that was for a reason. That was actually for my good, Yeah. I think that is what grounds me and helps me through tough times.
And lastly, I have to ask you, what is your assignment here on this earth?
I think I'm still discovering that. I definitely feel as though my social media presence and me showing up as myself and giving confidence to women who look like me is tied into that. But I have come to sort of a realization that, your job, because that is my job, is not always your sole purpose. I think that there's something in that is my purpose, but I think that it's bigger. And I think if you asked me that a couple years ago, I would say, I feel like I'm in my purpose and I'm helping women feel more confident, because I do feel like clothes are just clothes, they're just garments, but it's something about when you make somebody feel better about themselves, you can completely change their lives. The way that they show up in a room, the way that they show up to an interview, they get that job, or the way they show up on a date.
You tap into that inner work.
Really. So I think that it's really more transformative than people realize. So I do feel like that's part of it, but I am coming around to the fact that may not be it. And maybe it's something bigger, something greater, maybe something completely different. I don't know. So still working that out, but I think I'm on the right path.
I think you're doing just fine.
I'm
Well, we cannot wait to watch it unfold.
Yes.
Thank you for trusting me and being here.
Thank you.
Kristine!